All right. Hey, everyone. So, just want to take a few minutes. I'm going to try to make this one pretty brief. I'm going to make two videos. This one's going to be on Training Peaks. The next one, which I'm going to do a quick little preview of, is what I can do with the data once you can get it into Training Peaks and kind of how I use WKO4. And you might have heard me kind of say WKO or WKO4 and get me your power files and kind of why that is and what I look at. But I'm going to get more into this in a second video. I'm going to touch on a little bit today. But so Cole's notes. So Training Peaks. It's our communication tool. This is our go-to communication tool for training prescription and training feedback. Now you can always email me, text me, call me, whatever you want to do. But this is kind of our depository of everything and the best way to kind of plan things out. So what I do is on my end in my coach account, I have all of you kind of stacked up in a list. And I also have a workout library, which I can drag and drop over a workout and then change it to what I want it to be, how specific I want to be it. So I can drag over a mountain bike endurance ride and then change the duration of it. So I can make it a 1 hour or 10 hour, whatever I want to do. And then that's kind of what you see. So, and then I don't have to write out every single little thing every once in a while. I can just kind of tweak it to make it individualized for you. But I just wanted to kind of show you how I'd like you to go about using it on your end. And this is my account. I know I'm not, first rule of coaching is no war stories and not talking about yourself, but I feel more comfortable using my own account than sharing necessarily one of yours with everyone else. So that's kind of why I'm not trying to show anything off. Not that this is very impressive anyway, but so I wanted to show you how to upload a workout or how to input manually and add comments, and they're kind of both the same. So we're going to go back to Wednesday, and I prescribed myself a 2-hour mountain bike endurance ride. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to show you how to do this manually. So again, if you don't have an uploadable device, that's okay. Or if you forget your Garmin or, for whatever reason, you can always input manually. So did you do a 2-hour endurance ride? Yes, I did. So you can punch in 2, hit enter, shows up 2 hours. Then another thing that I really want to see from all of you is put in comments how you felt. Were you tired? Were you sore? Were you cranky? Were you hungry? Were you cold? It becomes your training diary. Really, this account is always yours. Whether I'm attached to it or another coach, it's always your account, your comments. So I really, really highly encourage you to start using this as that training diary. So again, this is kind of where you can type in anything you want. I was tired, hungry, cold, yada yada yada. Hit save or save and close. That's pretty important. You'll notice that this kind of turned green, and you're probably wondering why you put in stuff and it's green, yellow, red. Basically, if you're within, I believe, 10% of the prescription, it's green. If you're outside that 10, it turns yellow. So let me try this. Hit save, and it turns yellow. So yellow, red doesn't mean you didn't do the workout or it was bad or anything like that, but it just kind of gives me a snapshot of how close you were to the prescription. So if you went out and did 6 hours, it turns red, as you can see. So a lot of people kind of think red means you didn't do it, and it kind of gives me a bit of a heat map. If I was to close this and there's open up somebody's just to kind of do a big picture review, and there's a lot of red and yellow, not a lot of green. It's kind of like, okay, what's going on? What is the person doing the workout? Can it be a little bit closer to the prescription? That kind of thing. So that's how you can do it manually. The other way to do it, so I'm going to take this out and delete that comment because I found the file. So what I do, you can't see it on the camera, but I have my Garmin plugged in. Go up to this little button here, upload, browse files, navigate to your Garmin or your device. It doesn't have to be a Garmin. There will be an activities or whatever your device is should have a way to do this. I sort by the date to get up to the most recent. That ride. Oh, look, yeah, I found that ride. Double click, and it's uploading. Hopefully it doesn't take too long, and it kind of uploads what I actually did. And this is the best way to do it because then I have my heart rate, no power, no cadence because it was a mountain bike ride. But and then, so again, I'm looking at what you can see as well. Some of these are premium, but you can kind of get the idea. So heart rate, profile, elevation, speed, that kind of thing. I can see a map. So on my coach account, I can always see a little bit more, or if you have premium, that kind of thing. But that's kind of how I'd like you to go about. So either input manually, doing how I just showed you, or uploading that individual file to the Garmin. Now there's ways to do it automatically through Training Peaks and that kind of thing, sync it. I like to do it manually because it gives me the most control over, especially double workouts like this. I can decide which file goes where and get a little bit more accurate. So, but worst case, you can kind of see where I put in a warm up and cool down here, kind of manually, because I didn't really have it in here. But so that's that. So and then if you have power files, so here's an example of a file with power. I rode, this would have been a Zwift ride. So sometimes the map actually shows up of London or Watopia, wherever you're riding. And I did some fast pedals, so I can kind of see the data changing there. My heart rate's kind of going up. Make this a little bit bigger. So there are some pretty cool metrics in here with power that you can see. You can see your averages, that kind of thing. If you have the premium, you'll be able to see even more. And there is that discount code that I emailed to all of you for premium for the year. But I can also always see these, and if you're curious, shoot me an email, and I can send you a screenshot of your efficiency, your powered heart rate, that kind of thing. So, but this is just kind of step one, kind of step two once you get into power. But what happens, what I do, every day I sit down and open up this other program called WKO4. And this is a desktop software that was created by the same people behind Training Peaks. And this is, meant for coaches and self-coached athletes to really get deep into the power analysis, mainly power, but heart rate, tons of data, tons of charts. Very customizable. You can go in here, if you like computer programming, you can go into these charts and you use all these if statements to customize what you want to see as a coach. And this is a big learning curve here. But there's a lot of stock charts. You don't have to make all these yourself, or I didn't have to make all these myself. But these kind of give you way more insight than whatever's on Training Peaks. I look at Training Peaks as is the prescription and checking in, seeing your comments. But I do all the analysis in WKO4. And so I just really want to use one example. And again, I'm kind of using myself just because I don't want to necessarily single out anyone else. I do want to use another athlete's individual workout in the second part to this. But if you're more interested in learning more about power and how I use it, but generally speaking, this chart, so, if I can get you to look at these red dots and their kind of trend downward. So the red dots are my aerobic efficiency. So that's a measure of essentially my miles to the gallon. How much power am I pushing per heartbeat? And that's a measurement of aerobic efficiency. So if you can push more power for less heart rate, you're generally fitter, you're more aerobically fit. I haven't been training a ton since this is a 90-day view. Again, these are all customizable. And I didn't actually ride a lot. You can actually see there's gaps in my data where I didn't ride my bike with a power meter, especially. I was still riding my mountain bike and cross bike. But this is a measurement of power and heart rate. But you can kind of see where I did have data early September, kind of up here. This was earlier in October, a little bit lower. And this was the past week when life was a little bit crazy around here. Getting back on the bike now, getting back into some more riding for myself. And this is actually pretty low. So what I can see from this snapshot is I'm not as aerobically efficient as I was at the beginning of September. And I'm not surprised by that. It's not a bad thing. But how I use this chart to my advantage is now that I am training, the whole and into this base period for myself is I'm gonna watch that metric and watch it go up as I train heavily aerobic. So I'm not gonna be doing a ton of like really high intensity training. And once I see this kind of start to level out, that's when I know I can move on to some more intensity or a rebuild. But again, you need the data, right? Because you can see even in here, I have some gaps where I don't have my power. I'm not riding power. So if you have a power meter and heart rate monitor, use it as much as you can. And why, hey, getting some power on a cross bike or a mountain bike is never a bad idea either, because the data is still useful, kind of even in a big picture. So that's just one kind of quick snapshot. There's tons and tons and tons of charts in here. This is a fatigue resistance, so I can kind of measure. This is max power curve. The green is max power curve after 1,000 kilojoules of work. So how hard can you go, or what's your best power at 20 minutes? What's your best power at 20 minutes for the past 90 days? But then what's your best power for 20 minutes in the last 90 days after a couple hours of riding? And that's a really, really important metric for what we do as endurance athletes is, having a good 20-minute power or a good 1-minute power is great. But what we want to know is at the end of a race, what is your 1-minute power and what's the drop off? And this kind of measures that. So again, you need the good data coming in. I don't have a ton of good data. My fatigue resistance is probably a little closer than what's in here, but that's okay. I can do a little bit of testing. So anyways, I'm going to leave most of this to another little chat. But for now, let's go back to Training Peaks. So upload, input manually, put in some comments. How you felt? Were you tired? Were you sore? Were you hungry, cold? Use this as your training diary. What did you do? Did you change the workout a little bit? If you think I'm going to see something weird in the data, kind of let me know. Let me know what happened. Oh, I got a flat here. Had stopped for ice cream here. Went for a coffee shop ride. Let me know what you did. So, anyways, I will cut myself off and then do another one where I get a little bit more into WKO and into how I would analyze a little bit more data and how I would analyze an individual workout. So. Anyways, I will talk to you all soon.